Hello, my name is Lucy Hanson from Cascade Miniatures of Oregon, and today we're going to work on the tower with lights. Let me switch cameras so you can see it. It's a tool and supply center. It has the tools section and a memo board. It doesn't have its little drawers in right now because we're going to make those during this lesson. Let's set this aside and find out what kind of tools you're going to need for this class. And let me back out a little bit. You're going to need sanding blocks, emery board. I use my little handy dandy sander, pair of scissors. You probably won't need a clamp, especially if you have masking tape. I use 1-inch masking tape a lot for clamping. You're going to need a knife, a construction knife, stain pen, tacky glue, I think the camera's backwards, tacky glue, and let's reverse this. Let me go to my settings. That's better. And then we're going to use wood glue. I keep my wood glue in a small bottle upside down and in one of our glue bottle holders so that it's at the ready. But I always keep a pin in the point so that it's ready to flow. So this sets these tools aside. And let's take a look at the kit itself. Oh, wait a minute. First, we're going to look at the instructions. These are inside your kit. There is a list of all the parts, their sizes. Where's my pointer stick? It's missing, but that's okay. You got the sizes, the assembly reference, the packet that they're in, and the photo number that, and let me get this up here so you can see it a little better. Each part has a letter. How many are there? The thickness of the material. You have parts layout sheets, 2 of them. Then you have the instruction sheet. The first sheet is going to be all about staining and painting, little tips that you might need, the tools list that you'll need, and definitely the 4 little tips at the bottom. Next page is your assembly process. And the following page 3 is assembly process. Page 4 is more assembly process, and there's reference pictures for you to go by. So it's all here in case you decide you don't want to put this thing together right away. You have the instructions. So let's look at your kit. Inside your kit, you're going to find 2 towers that have been taped together, dry fit together. You're going to have the drawer packet We're going to have the lower wall packet, a little packet called SP, and that's your spacers. There's only one problem with that, and I'll go over that when we get to it. Then you've got your upper wall, your upper top, and the trim pieces. Underneath it all is your packet of instructions. So let's get started. After I put all this away, the towers. When you get your towers in your package, they're all taped together. I highly recommend that as you take them apart, you lay them out on the layout sheets, the parts layout sheets. That's page 2. And if I were taking this apart, and let's pan out so that you can see better. Either that or let's raise this camera. There, I think that's a little better. When you take it apart, put these pieces where they belong or mark the pieces. This is an end shelf, so that would be part C. So I put a little C on there because you're gonna sand this, hand sand it as soon as you get through. But here at your sides, 2 sides, you've got a back. These are part C, end shelves. This is your top. The big compartment is for the top. If you're going to stain, you're going to need a stain pen. I usually keep my stuff in like a meat tray or something, and I daub my stain pen so that I get stain down on the end on that felt tip. If you're going to stain ahead of time, and it is best to stain with the grain. The grain on this piece is going this direction. So see the difference in the stain when I get the stain to the end of the felt tip. Whoops. It is really easy on some of these stain pens for it to leak, especially if the felt tip is old and it gets brittle. Make sure you get the sides. Do not, and I repeat, do not get stain in the parts that are going to get glued. On your sides, you're going to have glue on the back, glue on the top, and I see I got a little bit of glue up there. I will sand that off so that the glue will stick. Stain is generally oil-based, and glue doesn't want to stick to oil. We got enough of it off. None of these channels should have any stain or paint in them. These channels must be natural. Again, the channel at the top and the bottom, and along where the back wall is. If you're going to paint, you can actually put these together and paint after you get through. Whoops. I put these two together ahead of time to show you that once you get done, you take a very smooth sanding block You want it to be 120 grit, 220 grit or more, so that the top and the bottom and the side walls and the back wall are nice and smooth. Be sure to take all of this, the dust off of each of these pieces. Once you get your towers made, and let's set this aside, you're going to want to put the wall in between, but your wall doesn't come made. That's how your wall comes, in a package. I need to get rid of some of this light. It's too bright in here. So, oh, it's better than it was. You're going to use your scissors. Your wall kit has been taped together in the wall kit. You have a back wall, a shelf, and a shelf front. And that's how it looks when you get it together. Be sure, because you've got two pieces here that are not the same size, be sure and match those up. It's very easy if you just go ahead and put a letter on each one of these. Let me grab my pencil, get my parts list. This is part F. This is part H. And this is part G. I'm going to glue part G onto the bottom edge of part F, okay? To do that, it is easier if I put a little bit of glue on the bottom, use my glue jig, so that I know that part G is stuck to the bottom of part F. Now you're going to set for a little while. Before you add part H to the top. We don't have that kind of time here, so I will glue on the top of that shelf and add the shelf front. Flush with the top of this shelf. And because I'm not using my support under there, I'm going to hold it for a little bit. Excuse me while I correct a computer issue. There. Wood glue takes approximately 10 minutes to get solid enough to where you can manhandle it. This I made yesterday, and this is what it should look like when you get through. The little small piece goes in front of the shelf. The shelf goes at the bottom of the back wall. So we'll set that aside. Bring our towers back over, and once you get that back wall made, you're going to make it flush at the very top. This is where clamps come in pretty handy. Let me grab one of my bigger clamps. I need a bigger one than even this. Basically, tape it and make sure that it is flush at the top. That is very, very important, that it is flush. This clamp won't open up far enough for me to clamp that, so we will tape it. Okay, the next step is the drawers. Let's take a look at those are the steps. Here's your packet. Packet number 4 has drawer sides, and it is labeled such. I think I've tipped them over. There it is. You have drawer walls, drawer floor, and drawer fronts. There's a drawer front. It's bigger than all the other pieces. Your floor is the same size as your walls. Let's use a put the lid on my glue. First thing you're going to want to do is put a drawer side or wall to the back of a glue jig. Then you're going to put glue on 2 sides of another wall and put it up against the back. Then you're going to put the floor. I've got one already put together. You're going to put the floor in such that it's the same length as your sidewall. So it's going to terminate at the very front of that sidewall. Then you're going to glue another sidewall in. And your final sidewall goes to the front. Once you get your box made, there's one already made, you're going to want to put the drawer front on. But before you do, all of them are square. If you can see the edges of this one, it's square. Looks much better when it's been rounded. So what you want to do is take your sanding block and round the edges. Make it nice and smooth. Get all the dust off. First thing you're going to do is to get your box front on or drawer front on correctly. So you're going to elevate it with letter X. Let me get a nice clean spot. I'm going to put letter X underneath it. That gives it its elevation. And then I'm going to glue the front drawer front on so that it's equal distance sticking out on each side. Let's zoom in on that. So you can see how I've got equal distance on each side. And the easiest way to do that is put a dab of glue on the back of your drawer front. Remember, it's still wet for a while, so you move it from side to side until you've got an even amount of space on each side. Let me grab the other camera and I'll show you. Let's switch cameras. So you've got even amount on each side. Switch back. I really need a little bit more light. That might help. Yep. Let it dry for at least 10 minutes each drawer. When you get through, your drawer will look like that. You have a slight elevation on the bottom. If you can see, just a little bit of an elevation. Now that we got the drawer done, we want to put the drawer handle and to do that, I'm going to lay a small bead of glue right in the middle, and I should have a pair of tweezers. Add that to your list. And I've got to get that glue up. Something else that you might want to add to your list, paper towels. There, we got the glue up. And while we're at it, I need another one for this guy. I'll do that in a little bit. Put our glue away. You'll use your glue quite a bit, so keep it handy. Once you've got your drawers done, your towers are sitting aside and drying. You're going to set your drawers aside. Let's put the wall on the two. Let's glue that together. The easiest way, let's pan out. To affix your wall to the two towers. You place a bead of glue on both edges. And I'm going to put this on the glue jig. Nice and firm. Then I'm going to take a toothbrush or an old paintbrush, and we're going to get the glue off of the joints. Now this one was not stained. It will be painted to match my desk or my work surface in my craft room. So add paintbrush to your list. This is not meeting, and I'm wondering if yes. Grab the brush and get glue squeeze out of the way. Once you have it in this condition, you'll be ready to add the lower wall. I have done the lower wall ahead of time for you, and it appears to have gotten twisted. And this is going to happen to you on occasion. This stick is moved before it's set. So I'm removing it and putting it on straight. And this will happen to you on occasion. Let's put it on again. I'm going to tape it in place. Always keep your knife covered. This is the lower top. It has spacers on it. And the spacers are to accommodate the bulk of the lights wires that'll be coming up through the top. Let's install the lights. First, looks like I'm going to have to tape. Well, now that we have the lower top with the spacers on it, I must insist that you remember, keep this hole on the right side. The one thing that I didn't do in your kit was make the hole on your top, because I don't know which side you're going to have your light on. But when you put this on top, you're putting it from side to side. And the hole has got to go all the way through to the underside of your top spacer. Let's glue that on. Little bit of glue, a little bit of glue. I use wood glue again. Spacers facing up. Here's where clamps come in very handy. And in this case, because I don't have the clamps handy, I'm going to tape it in place. And I'm going to set it aside to dry. Next step is going to be the lighting. Let's take a look at the lighting. It's a kit with instructions that are attached to your kit. In your kit, you're going to have a light, a single diode, the battery holder with the battery inside, and a switch. And there are 2 or 3 shrink tubes inside. It's easier to see that way. You've got shrink tubes, switch that's attached to your battery holder, and then your single diode. So let's put it all together. Switch and battery or power system is going to be in this section up against the ceiling. Let me show you using this one. You're going to feed the wires. These 2 wires go up through that hole. Through that hole. Let's go ahead and feed those. It is easier to feed both of them if you twist them together so they stay together. bend it, feed it through the hole. And remember that your battery, you want your switch at the front. Double face tape, tight quarters back here. This is where patience is required. You're going to put a double face tape on the back of your battery holder. And that is pretty much how you want it to look when you get through. Except it's going to be laying flat. You're going to use a mounting tape. I use mounting tape and fix it so that you can turn your switch on. You just reach in there and turn your switch on and off. Once you get your wires up here on top, then you're going to want to put that light the diode up through the hole, both wires. Again, you're going to use double face tape. And what I do, I mount the double face tape on the back of the light and let it sit up on the ceiling. Now the back of the light has a sticky backing. You got to remove the tape. That comes on the wire itself. Not doing too good here. Let's pull that off. There we go. Put your light forward of the hole. Oops. I'm glad this isn't going perfect. And that way you see that there are errors and problems going to crop up. Now you've got these wires sticking out up at the top. You can shorten the wires if you want to. To do that, you have to cut these off, and you have to use heat. That would be like a soldering iron or whatever. This coating on this wire comes off from melting it off. You can also sand it off, but I highly recommend just melting it. If you don't want to mess with that, what you want to do is take the two black wires, one from this side and one from that side, and I'll get my double face tape. This light doesn't want it. The sticky stuff on the back of these lights is not the world's best. Take the two black wires, get the metal parts together, and start twisting. Now, the one thing that I forgot was that your package also includes shrink tubes. Let's get a little shrink tube and put it on one of the black wires. Get the other one. Twist the ends together. I usually, after I get them really twisted, then I'll take a pair of pliers and continue twisting them nice and tight. Slip the shrink tube, lay it down flat. And slip the shrink tube over the bare wires. Let's send it this direction and see if that works better. It does. So the shrink tube is sitting over the bare wires. Now you can use a flame from a match, or you can use a flame. I use a torchlight. Leave the flame about a ½ inch below. And as you can see, it was warm. Let's grab another shrink tube. This one is too long, so I'm going to shorten it. It's also very small. It does not make any difference which one of the red ones I actually slip the shrink tube over. Now, if you're into soldering, and you can, solder these two wires together before you put the shrink tube on. Again, I'll lay these down flat. And smush my wires. And slip the shrink tube over the two wires. And melt it and crush it. Now, I have to secure the wires. And what I generally do is just tape them. Grab some Scotch tape. And you can see it's nice and flat. The last step you've got a top that has been beveled on the ends and on the front edge. That will get glued. Centered. Make sure you center it so that you've got the same amount of space on each side. And you'll glue that in place. Let's show you one that's been glued in place. Then after you get your top on, then you're going to cover the front with your trim piece that came in the packet with that top. Let me grab that piece. Packet 5 has the trim pieces, the two end trim pieces and the front. I glue the front on first, then I glue the side ones on, and then I slightly round the edges of where the corners are. That's pretty much it. When you get through, you got light. And I added the drawers. Again, if you're going to stain ahead of time, and remember to not put stain where your glue is going to be. If you have to change, this one I can show you. I used mounting tape behind the switch and the battery compartment. I also used a double-faced tape on the back of the light so that it stays in place. When you send me a picture of your finished project, I'm going to send you the board, the memo board, and the tool board, because they're not in this package. And I'll send you that. And the tools are also going to be available come name day. I made a scroll saw. And I made a little sander. The sandpaper on-off switch. And they fit. On your tool supply center. This one's got a little bit of a sticky tape on the bottom. Memo board, tool board. I do have this one, this one, this one. I don't remember whether I got that one or not, but I do have those three that are available after in my name day kits. There's a instructions on how to make your glue bottle too. So that's it, pretty much.